Hey guys, Kevin again with Spirit of Twilight, and today we're going to be wrapping a Labradorite stone that I recently purchased at a local metaphysical shop here in Central Florida. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Labradorite, it's a great protection stone. As you can see, the rainbow colors of green and blue and purple, and a little bit of gray in there. It's actually a very, very nice stone. This has a flat back on it, which is also very pretty. But we're going to be working with this stone. It's quite large, actually. But it is a very, very nice and protective stone. It's very popular. And this stone, to be quite honest, was not cheap to purchase. So this design that I'm going to make today is going to be available on my website probably at the end of day today or sometime tomorrow. I'll put it on there. But I'm going to be using a 20 gauge square wire made of sterling silver. And to start off with, I'm going to be using a 22 gauge half round of sterling silver as well to secure the wires together. So let's get started. Okay, so firmly holding the wires together, and of course you want to keep these flat. You want to carefully wrap the half wire or half round wire around your frame wire. And the reason why I say carefully is because, again, one side of this is flat, the other side is round. The flat side has a tendency to be sharp compared to the round side. So you want to make sure that you keep the flat side facing your wires that you're wrapping, just so when somebody picks up the stone or picks up the pendant or the piece of jewelry that you're making, we have our wire in place. We're just going to flatten that out. And that's another benefit of using the half round wire is it holds in place, especially when you're using a square wire. It'll lay flat for you and become very uniform. Again, the half round wire can be very difficult to work with, but as you can see, that looks really nice, very flat against the other two wires holding them together. So we're going to make sure this is centered and move that accordingly. And I should have done that at the beginning, but I didn't. So, and that's another benefit is you can move the wires the way that you need to before you actually wrap your design or wrap your pendant. Okay. So I pretty much have this in the center, as we can see. And we're going to be wrapping it from the bottom of the larger portion of the stone. So what I'm going to do, and because this is square wire and it holds a little bit better than round wire, especially when you're working with a stone that has been tumbled, it tends to grip the stone a little bit better. So you also want to be careful of that too, because you may scratch your stone. So just be careful when you're using square wire also. Okay, so let's get this in the shape that we want it. So this is going to be the back. That's why I bent these at a 90-degree angle away from the actual setting itself. And then these are going to bend around this way, just like the shape of the stone. So now we're going to place the stone in the setting. And we're going to bend the bottom portion and the actual shape of the stone. So that way it holds where you actually want the bottom portion of the stone to be. And then we're going to take these two front wires and we're going to cascade it just beyond the lip of the stone between where it is polished and curved, like so. Then we're going to flip it over and take these two wires and we're going to just place it on the back of the stone. So now they come together and your stone is being held. Okay? Now, you are going to have to make adjustments accordingly in order for the stone not to actually fall out of its setting as you continue making your design. Okay, so next up is making the bail. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold my stone like so, making sure everything is straight. And just take your coated flat wire or flat nose pliers and just straighten those out. This also helps pull tension on the wires as well around the stone, so it holds it even more secure. So now that I have that set, I'm going to take my stone out, and I have the shape of the stone with the wires in place. So next up, I'm actually going to use a round wire, and this is a 22 gauge sterling silver round wire to make the bail. I'm probably going to be using about 12 inches. We'll put this back in here and secure it so it doesn't come unraveled. Okay. So now we have our 22 gauge round wire and we're going to make the bail. Now, I'm sure you've seen me do this in other videos, but you just start off with a little tail here and wrap around a few times with the longer portion. Ensure it's tight. And then you're going to place your stone back in, like so. Oops. And this time it should be a little tight because you've now secured the top of the wire is above the stone. So this is where you want to be careful with the square wire because the square wire can scratch the stone. Okay, so now we have the beginning of the bail. As you can see, I wrapped some of the wires. And we're going to separate these wires to hold that in place, like we did before. And holding your long tail, we're going to take the shorter tail and we're going to finish wrapping around the bottom of the bail towards the stone. And then we're going to take our flat nose pliers and secure that in place. Hold that tight again. Okay, now again, when you're using flat nose wires and they don't flat nose pliers, excuse me, and they don't have a coating on them, you want to be careful because you will scratch your wire. And again, sterling silver wire is expensive. It's not cheap compared to other wires, so you want to be very careful. Okay, so now we have our two middle wires here. I'm going to bring those together. I'm going to bend the other two even further so it holds that very tight with the stone. And I'm going to start making our bail. I'm just going to wrap a couple times just to mimic the previous style wrapping that we had on here. And we'll flatten these out really quick just to make sure they're straight. There we go. Okay, so now we can start making our design, whatever you want to do as far as your weave is concerned for the bail. So let's do my 3 and 3 like I normally do. There's 3 wrapped around 1, and then 3 over both. Pull that a little tighter. There we go. I have a friend joining me. Hi, Bon. So. So as you can see, there's 2 wraps on one side where I skipped the other and then I reversed it, and unfortunately my camera is not focusing like it's supposed to. Okay, so now that we have those weaves in place, we'll go ahead and make our bail. So now that you're making the bail, you do want the stone inside of the setting. And the reason being because now you are going to be taking your wires and they're going to become harder to maneuver once he gets us in here. Well, this is not doing what I want it to do very easily. Getting this back in there. There we go. Okay. So I actually did that incorrectly. And that does happen sometimes. Okay, so these 2 wires that we had hanging out, we're going to tighten those again. Because those should have been the front, which I believe I am correct on that. There we go. Okay. Let's bend those out again. Now, with the bail, and now that we have our stone set, it's going to bend the bail like we normally do. And again, the stone may come out again. Okay. This is something I don't recommend, is forcing the wire once it's already been set like this, but this stone is not giving me a choice. Okay, so let's do this. Since we have, this is now really at the tip of the base of the stone, we're going to go ahead and adjust these so it fits the stone better. There we go. So now the stone is secure. Whew, okay. So we got the stone in. Okay, back to finishing off the bale. Alright, I got that through one time. So being that I tightened everything, I can't get it back through the top without loosening the wires, which then again may unfortunately have me loosen the stone, so I don't want to do that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to leave it with one wrap as it is, and then we're going to take these and tuck them in place. Where am I? There we go. That one needs to be bent a little more too. I'm sure it doesn't scratch anybody. Okay. So now we have our two little wires up here. And this is something that we can do. Let's take this and move that over. Take that and move that over. Just make sure the stone is all set and it's not going to move any further. There we go. Okay. So now we're going to take these two smaller wires. And I'm just going to make kind of a wraparound on the front for a design. I'm going to take this one and tuck it because it's really short. And then this one here, I'm just going to make a little spiral out of, which you've seen me do before. There we go, small little spiral. Okay. Now this is where we have an opportunity to use a little tiny mini spiral with that piece. And when you're doing this sort of thing, when you're using a long piece of wire and you're overlapping and you're making shapes and so on and so forth, you want to hold the original shape that you want to keep. Otherwise, you may have a problem with it not working the way you want it to. Keep that in there and move that in so it doesn't scratch anybody. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is our wrapped piece of Labradorite. And again, it's very pretty, very shiny, has hues of purple and green and blue. It's a really, really beautiful stone. It's also very popular. But our bale is back here. So I'll move that up a little bit. There we go. just to finish it off. So it's pleasant looking from the front and the back. This is the back side because it's flat. Then you have the front side here. But our stone is certainly not going anywhere, as we can see. But the only problem I had was this was originally on the front base of the stone. But unfortunately, when I had made the bail, it tightened the wires so much that it moved to the back and I couldn't put it back on the front, which is okay because when you look at it, it's still visible from the bottom and makes it look like the stone's floating a little bit more. So even though this is in the back, like I mentioned, I moved the wires to work with the front by cinching them. Okay? And then the back wires themselves, I just crimp them a little bit to make them fit a little better on the back, but once this is set, it's going to be such a beautiful, beautiful piece. And I guess I'll start on another piece. So thank you so much for joining me today. And if you have any questions or concerns, put them in the comments below. If you do like this video, please click on subscribe, like the video, share it, so I can get my videos around YouTube so people can see the beautiful things that I make and sell on my website at spiritofTwilight.com. So take care. Hope you have a great Sunday. Bye.